The Satanic Verses. If you stumble upon the Satanic Verses at a Everything Must Go sale, expecting it to be a guide for summoning demons, you'll be disappointed. It's not a manual for invoking the devil, but it's still a hotbed of controversy in religious circles. The book begins with two men surviving an airplane explosion, gaining wings, and experiencing vivid hallucinations. They become fantastical beings, one an angel and the other a devil, almost like characters in a fantasy RPG. The angel, Gabriel, relives the life of the Prophet Muhammad, and this is where the trouble starts. The book's reimagining includes the idea that Satan inserted false verses into the Quran, suggesting parts of Islam's holy text were influenced by the devil. This portrayal was seen as deeply blasphemous, fictionalizing Muhammad and offering controversial new interpretations of Islamic history, making the book the Voldemort of literature unmentionable and feared. Because of this, libraries have often tucked it away like a dangerous relic. In 1989, Iran's Ayatollah Khomeini issued a fatwa, essentially a death sentence, against the author, leading him to hide from threats of violence. The uproar wasn't just about the book's content, but also the wide-ranging protests and violent reactions from the Islamic community. Religious leaders felt that the book was an affront to their revered figures, similar to someone at a party recklessly tossing around your grandmother's ashes. Despite the intense controversy, the Satanic Verses continues to spark discussion in non-religious circles, showing that you can still be the life of the party, even if you're a party pooper. Lady Chatterley's Lover. Set in early 1900s England, a time when women were covered from neck to ankle and any hint of skin was as shocking as seeing a Playboy magazine, D.H. Lawrence's Lady Chatterley's Lover broke boundaries with its provocative content. The novel follows Lady Chatterley, stuck in a marriage that would make talking to a stone sound exciting, because she is married to a paralyzed man who can't fulfill her needs. Unwilling to settle for a life of domestic monotony, she embarks on a passionate affair with Mellors, the rugged gamekeeper with a physique that could grace the cover of Men's Health. While the steamy affair in the novel certainly raised eyebrows, the real controversy stemmed from Lawrence's critique of England's rigid class structure and societal norms. He challenged the class distinctions and openly discussed sex and scandalous relationships, confronting the staid morality of the time. The Anarchist Cookbook. Imagine a book that combines the rebellious spirit of a teenager's diary with a recipe book for creating mayhem. That's the essence of the Anarchist Cookbook. This infamous and controversial guidebook is designed to cause trouble in the kitchen called society. William Powell, the author, merges Han Solo's defiant attitude with Gordon Ramsay's culinary skill, but instead of sweet treats, it provides instructions on making explosive devices. The book details how to create bombs, weapons, and other dangerous contraptions, akin to an overly enthusiastic science teacher whose experiments get out of hand. Written during the tumultuous 1970s, a period marked by increased interest in rebellion due to the Cold War, the Anarchist Cookbook has practical implications beyond mere theory, being linked to various acts of violence and mischief. This has led to authorities being highly concerned about the book's content. While critics view it as a societal threat, some defenders argue it represents a misunderstood voice for free expression. But you can't call it a literary masterpiece when you catch your kid turning a flashlight into a laser gun. 120 Days of Sodom. Written by the Marquis de Sade, this book is so extreme that it makes 50 Shades of Grey seem like a children's fairy tale. This book isn't just R-rated, it's off the charts, verging on XXX in terms of explicit content. It follows a group of wealthy men who retreat to a castle, not for a genteel gathering, but to indulge in every depraved fantasy imaginable. They gather 9 boys and girls and subject them to 120 days of unimaginable horrors. You're looking at material so outrageous that even the wildest adult film stars would blush before picking up this book. The Marquis de Sade, the author, spares no detail, presenting a grotesque array of sadistic and masochistic acts in a shocking display of taboo. It's like a roller coaster where ethics are left at the gate, making room for chaos to take the driver's seat and set the new standard. The book didn't just cross the line, it catapulted over it, turning into a banned novel that could make a priest drop his Bible and reach for smelling salts. The 48 Laws of Power. Imagine combining the scheming of a manipulative ex with the cunning of a social strategist, and you get The 48 Laws of Power by Robert Greene. While it might appear as a typical self-help guide for climbing the corporate ladder, its dark and manipulative content has led to it being banned in numerous prison systems worldwide. This book offers strategies and tactics for achieving success that go beyond the usual advice of wake up early, go to the gym, journal your goals you hear from TED Talks. Instead, it teaches you how to manipulate people, places, and situations to achieve your goals. For instance, one law advises you to hide your true intentions, ideal for becoming the most devious person at work. Another suggests letting others do the heavy lifting for you, essentially instructing you to manipulate someone into easing your workload. These methods can be effective in the ruthless corporate world where it's a cutthroat competition. But in everyday life, it's like using a flamethrower to light a birthday candle, overly dramatic and completely unnecessary for routine interactions. Schools and prisons have banned the 48 Laws of Power out of concern that it might turn their playgrounds into a cutthroat battleground, akin to a scene from Game of Thrones, but without the dragons. Prisons, already dealing with serious issues like drug lords and violent offenders, don't need to add the complexities of advanced manipulation to their list of problems. Animal Farm. George Orwell's Animal Farm starts off like a twisted version of the Old MacDonald Had a Farm nursery rhyme, but quickly takes a darker turn. The animals on the farm, fed up with human oppression, overthrow their human masters and take control themselves. You'd think this would solve their problems, but Orwell uses this seemingly innocent story of barnyard politics to critique society. The pigs, who initially promise equality for all, end up becoming the new tyrants, replacing the humans as the farm's oppressors. The farm, once a place of hopeful revolution, deteriorates into a pit of inequality and exploitation. Orwell's satire illustrates how revolutions intended to restore power to the people often lead to the rise of new dictators. The book mocks leaders who claim to champion equality while elevating themselves above others. Authorities who saw Animal Farm as more than just a story worried it would provoke people to view their leaders as corrupt and self-serving, much like the pigs in the book. Slaughterhouse-Five. When people talk about Kurt Vonnegut's Slaughterhouse-Five, the first thing you often hear is that it's the book about time travel and aliens. But there's more to the reason why this novel ended up on banned book lists. At its core, the story follows a soldier who becomes so disoriented in time that he jumps from one historical era to another, with explosive events along the way. At one point, he's a prisoner in Dresden, Germany, during its notorious bombing, and the book portrays this event in the most brutal manner possible. Written during the Cold War, when the government was pitching the fight against communism like it was as American as baseball and backyard barbecues, Slaughterhouse-Five was like showing up to a war room with a bouquet of daisies instead of battle plans. The authorities likely viewed it as a covert hippie manifesto, subtly urging people to exchange their grenades for gardenias. Many readers found the book challenging because Vonnegut's blend of existential angst and dark humor was jarring, especially when the satire became too real. The book's banishment can be attributed to its bold mix of satire, science fiction, and uncomfortable truths. In the literary world, it's the type of work that forces readers to question their beliefs and rethink their perspectives, a reaction the 1970s government was keen to avoid. Brave New World. Imagine living in a world where everyone is overly happy, a little too happy. That's the premise of Aldous Huxley's Brave New World, where society enforces conformity and leaves little room for escape. In this world, people are kept content with a drug called soma, which numbs them to their deeper emotions. Society operates like a factory, churning out babies in an assembly line and assigning individuals to castes like a Hogwarts sorting hat ceremony. The government even controls your romantic life, managing your relationships as if swiping through Tinder to find your match, forcing you to marry them. Picture a world dominated by consumerism, instant gratification, and technological control. Sound familiar? It mirrors our own lives, but with added drama. Smartphones and social media keep us endlessly distracted, much like the novel's characters. Algorithms dictate our thoughts and feelings, akin to the book's depiction of a manipulative government. It's like starring in a dark comedy where our life is always the joke. Governments around the world have seen this book and thought, maybe we should keep an eye on this Huxley guy. It's as if they're worried that we might swap freedom for the conveniences depicted in Brave New World. Consequently, the book has earned its place among the banned, but with current trends, it seems more like a chilling prediction of the future. Who knows if future tech will have our brains running like apps waiting for the next system upgrade? Invisible Man. Written by Ralph Ellison in the 1950s, this book was so audacious, it was like blasting a rock concert in a library. It delves into racial identity and societal invisibility, exposing uncomfortable truths and topics once deemed taboo. The book's examination of race and identity made waves during a period when Black people were still considered second-class citizens. Readers expecting mere entertainment were instead met with a profound political commentary, exactly what Invisible Man delivered. It's like expecting a thrilling action movie and ending up in a lecture on tax law. The novel's language and themes were too intense for the conventional 1950s audience. The novel tackles violence, exploitation, and discrimination, issues as out of place as arriving at a formal event in a superhero costume. Its unflinching honesty forced people to question societal norms. Schools swiftly removed Invisible Man from their collections, turning it into a truly invisible book due to its controversial content. The Grapes of Wrath. A book titled about grapes might seem as sweet as a fresh batch of fruit, but John Steinbeck's The Grapes of Wrath is more like a mouthful of sour grapes that could instantly sour your mood. The story highlights the Joad family's struggles in a starkly unflattering light. Set during the Great Depression, Steinbeck portrays farmers not as heroes, but as villains of the agricultural world, complete with dark, brooding characteristics. Instead of friendly, hard-working food producers, he depicts them as bitter and unhappy, as if they were harvesting discontent rather than crops. The book's language and themes are intense, featuring scenes of violence, harsh realities, and strong language that were too provocative for the conservative 1940s American audience. After reading The Grapes of Wrath, readers felt like they needed a spiritual cleanse, as if they'd just walked out of a heavy metal concert straight into Sunday service. Authorities were concerned that The Grapes of Wrath could corrupt the minds of the innocent and young, leading to rebellious thoughts. Additionally, its criticism of capitalism made it seem too red and un-American during a period when Americans were wary of communism.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, leave a comment, and subscribe to our channel.